Hello, and welcome back to Starwater Radio. Today I'd like to discuss something that really came up a couple days ago, but Spirit was like, wait for it. And I did, and it truly hit. This was incredible. I was talking to you guys a few weeks ago about family and my journey into radical forgiveness and unconditional love. And I will say that this gateway that opened has been incredible. It's been rather a massive accomplishment for myself. I kind of get personal on these videos just because I've really nothing to hide. I am a professional psychic, and I think it's very clear that information is, it can be gathered in so many different ways, and to be able to be transparent and honest is such a liberation for me. And that's really what like this video is about, like, is that liberation. I have really opened the cage and basically unlocked the jail cell and allowed myself to get out psychologically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And this has been something that has been a shadow over my spirit for so long. You see, I've been on a hunt for a specific energetic signature, and I knew it existed, and yet I literally could not find what I was looking for years. Specific energy, this it was something I was holding. I didn't know what it was. And it was in these things, the photographs and the memories and the different items that I had stored that had value to me. And it tied me to the past, and Spirit was telling me it was time to get rid of it. And yet I could not find it. I felt that there was dark energy surrounding it and that something was harboring it. And it was true. I looked for these items. I looked for this energy, and I got so upset because I couldn't find it. And people, I felt energetically knew what I was looking for, and perhaps they knew what it was and where it was, but they weren't telling me. So I got really angry because this is what it feels like to be cursed. And I couldn't tell you guys exactly what I was going through, but I knew that I was being surrounded by evil intention. You guys, this is all getting a little crazy, but I literally solved the equation. There was so many different aspects that were feeding into this energy, and it had a lot of different repercussions. There was a lot of karmic debt that came as a result. Some of you may be thinking in the back of your mind, well, how did she even attract that reptilian cult? Well, it's because she came from a reptilian daddy. And it's something that was deeply ingrained in my entire existence. I will give my dad the benefit of the doubt. He was a good dad. Up until a certain age, there was a connection, a camaraderie. My mom even went as far as to say, "You're a daddy's girl." No, I was tactical. I knew I was dealing with something that was dark, and it was the patriarchy, and it was like this freemasonry, just dark energy, these agreements that I had never even fully agreed to were being pushed on to me. My father's karmic debt was attempting to root itself in my existence, in my world. Like I said, up until a certain age, he was cool, but I I started to heavily, let's just say, very frankly, be abducted by these ETs. And my father could sense my distance and really started to see that as a threat and became even more controlling. This kind of came at an even more of a bad time in terms of him being disappointed in me, because my sister was just like totally a whiz and just graduating with honors within 3 years at a massive university, Walter Cronkite. You know, her studies were on a whole nother level. And here I am, just like totally freaking starting to fly out and not give a F about anything other than my longboard and, you know, my boyfriend and Led Zeppelin and smoking weed. So my dad was already over me. And there was a subtle sabotage that occurred. And I sensed it. I knew it even when I left into the world and started to live primarily in the wilderness. I thought of this. I knew there was something still floating. There was something still holding itself over me. And even with his passing, I just knew in my heart I had to continue to search. I mean, it was crazy to think like your daddy's doing black magic on you, but it was something ingrained in his own contractual agreements. You know, whatever he was obligated to in his world, the freemasonry world, that all had attempted to leech onto me. And so him being just a puppet for them started to really work for the dark forces. Joke a little bit about him being Darth Vader. He went there, you know. I went and I untangled all of these just controlling evil entanglements that he attempted to basically keep me down with. And I successfully was releasing all of these like karmic ties and whatnot, and I had released a big timeline with him, and I had gotten into something more balanced for my soul. But that curse, I was still feeling it, and I knew it existed somewhere. I knew something he had done intentionally to keep my energy warped and small. So if you do know one thing about my dad, is that he is a king of storage, okay? I'm not going to say he was a hoarder, but he was just say, like I said, he was the king of storage. He had a garage, he had a shed. No, he had 2 sheds. He had a gazebo, all neatly packed and stored with all of his items. My mother is really telling me, I don't know where your treasure chest is, okay? I don't know where it is. She's telling me. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna look through every single thing. And I did. I unpacked and I looked through every single storage bin in that house. And it came up empty of anything belonging to me. And I mean, it didn't make sense because I went off to college and I took most of my things, but there was one thing that I left with them to make sure that, you know, all of those things would stay safe. And it was a treasure chest, a big yellow one, because yellow was my color, and it was just obviously mine, full of yearbooks, pictures, you know, ribbons, bows, things that I'd won, my graduation stuff. And I was like, okay, you guys are my parents. It's cool if you guys leave. I'll leave this with you when I went out to college. So it's been, you know, a good long time. So coming back and looking for this treasure chest, I knew it was going to be maybe a job, but I didn't think that no one would have any idea where it was and that it was just going to totally disappear. So after my my look through, I should say, it was a little less of a rampage, but more of a look through. I decided that, okay, there's definitely something going on here and it's some witchery and I don't like it. And I decided to let it go, though. And I was really good. I let it go. I let it go for like a couple years. And I was just like, okay, well, my entire childhood and everything that like represents me, any of my pictures, they're just gone. Those people just like let it go or something. Somebody came and took it or whatever. Or he threw it away. Nobody knows. He's gone. And so I let it go, but let's just say that the universe didn't let it go. I was just randomly playing with my kids yesterday, and I came across this rusted kind of yellowish color thing. And when I talk about like my dad being like good at storage, like I was just like, wow, okay, what is this? Like, this is weird. Why is it outside? It's literally hidden on the side of the shed that's like really far away in the yard. I was like, wow, like there's nothing in here. He wouldn't put anything in here. And as soon as I said that, I literally said it to myself, like there's nothing in there. Like he wouldn't put anything in there way out here. And as soon as I said it, it clicked. I was like, that's it. That's it. And it was the weirdest feeling grabbing this treasure chest, because it was almost like grabbing someone out of the water after they had been submerged and you don't know if they're drowned or not. I know that's so dramatic, but I was feeling all of that adrenaline, all of that control, all of that dark force that had held me. It was right there, and as soon as I grabbed it, and all the grass and everything, and it was just heavy. I opened it up and I see that everything is pretty much destroyed. Everything was destroyed, and I had noticed that the way that everything had warped and rotted through all of the elements over the years, people's faces in certain photographs were revealing themselves to me. Another thing that was interesting was that the two items that I had really cherished and what I had really wanted to keep were the least damaged of everything, and I was able to salvage only those two things. One of them, which was my Bible. This Bible was given to me when I was baptized as a child. It was a Precious Moments Bible. And something else that was spoken to me was the way that my school IDs had been lodged into the pages of the Bible. And I noticed how interesting it was that my face was right, the face of the ID was right on Psalm 105:42. And it says, "For he remembered his holy promise, and Abraham his servant. He brought out his people with joy, his chosen ones with gladness. He gave them the lands of the Gentiles, and they inherited the labor of the nations, that they might observe his statutes and keep his laws. Praise the Lord." So the Lord was keeping his promise to me by releasing me. It's not about the material. It's just about the release of those energies and that intent. My father's intent was completely to sabotage me and hide me away, if not to unalive me. I've told people that many times and they don't believe me, but just look at this box. It looks like a coffin, especially when everything is so neat and tidy and everything is so mindfully stored away, except for one thing: your child, your heart. But that's what they do when it comes to these agreements. It's not about heart. It's not about loving yourself. It's about selling yourself and seeing what you can get. And unfortunately, my father got trapped. His thinking was skewed, and he became delusional. And he was able to do that. And thankfully, I didn't let him do anything else. His abuse was thwarted. Every single person around me gaslit me. My mother, my sister, my grandmother, my aunt, all shamed me for his abuse because they're part of this patriarchal freemasonry system. It feeds them. So of course, this little girl crying doesn't mean anything. Shove her away. She's useless. She's nothing, is what they thought. And they thought that they could get away with this psyop. But it's fully uncovered now, and it's cleared. This story goes very deep, and I'm actually not surprised. You guys, I live in the real world. When you live outside the borders, you see a lot. Next clip that I'm about to show you. There was a moment where I was able to get rid of everything. I was basically releasing, in that moment of release, just so, closely, deeply enchanted with my inner child. She's singing, she's so happy, she's being released out of this box. And as soon as I get rid of everything, I look up in the sky. And, there it is. And I will say these lights, they're very familiar. They're very much close to home to me. And I feel very liberated and held. So in that moment, time completely stopped and everything became anew. The birthing process of my soul into this world has begun. I am completely liberated from those old demons, that past pain, and those null and void contracts. I just want to thank you all so much for your support